at Brett Bum on Twitter from Softduit Media, and I wanted to walk through some of the exhibitors at BlogWorld. Typically, when people go to BlogWorld, they're wondering, what is the value in going to this particular show? I've been going since the very beginning, actually since before it was BlogWorld, and one of the things where I've always found value is the exhibitors. If you think about it, the speakers can be very motivating and sometimes they can be entertaining, but they don't have a lot of skin in the game. They're paying for travel, they're paying for their own hotel typically, and they might get a free conference pass out of speaking and sharing their knowledge. That can be very, very useful, but exhibitors are doing all those same things, plus they're paying several $1,000s just to exhibit. They've got skin in the game. They're putting their money where their mouth is. And so oftentimes I see people, they go to the show and they pay attention to the conference sessions, but they ignore the exhibitors and they miss out on some great tools that sometimes did showcase at the show. And it's good to know who's exhibiting, and more importantly come up with a game plan of trying to figure out what do they do, how might that be useful for you, what partnerships might be available, and a whole lot more. If you haven't seen it, if you go to the BlogWorld page, they haven't actually listed out the exhibitors yet, but you can, kind of in a back way, figure out who the exhibitors are currently. And this is typically going to be something that's in a state of flux. If you go to the exhibitor floor plan, you can actually see who's exhibiting now. There's still about 4 remaining spots open, but through here we can see that full list. And I've actually put this together in a mind map. There's going to be about 46 booths there. 4 of those are going to be for BlogWorld related type stuff, places to do interviews, the actual BlogWorld booth itself, and a couple other things like that. The actual exhibitors, there's about 67 or so, or 42, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the other side. So there's 42 different exhibitors. I'm going to put this list on my website at Softduit Media in a blog article so that you can check out the links. It's not always completely apparent who each of these companies are, although it's not too difficult to Google most of them. There's a few of them that are just getting ready to launch for the first time. This will be the list, and I'm going to go through each of these and talk about them a little bit. Some of them I know, some of them I've met at previous BlogWorlds, and I might be able to give you some ideas about how to assess these exhibitors and figure out who's important. Separately, that's just a small part of the show. BlogWorld is actually in New York. It's a small part of the BookWorld Expo of America. And in particular, at this particular show, an area that I found extremely interesting and useful as a blogger and a publisher is the digital publishing section, the software, the services, and the exhibitors that show up for that particular area. There's 67 exhibitors on that side of the show. If you get a BlogWorld pass, you've got access to the exhibit floor for BookWorld Expo. There's hundreds more exhibitors as well. This is just the digital portion of the show, and there's a lot of great folks in here, including, as an example, BookBaby, who is a sometimes exhibitor at BlogWorld. They definitely exhibited in Los Angeles, but they help you basically publish a book. There's a number of others, some of which I met last year, but most of these are new. This was a smallish section of the show last year, but for obvious reasons, digital books are becoming very, very big, not just for writers, but also for bloggers. So I'm going to dig into that in a separate series of videos as well, but you can actually find that information by going to the Book Expo site. If you scroll through some of their different exhibitor breakdowns, which is on this particular page, this is the segments as they call them at Book Expo America. One of those segments is the Digital Discovery Zone. And if you click on this little blue button, it takes you to a full list of their exhibitors. Their featured exhibitors that happen to be in the digital publishing area, and then the full list of each of their other exhibitors. This takes you, there's links here, they indirectly take you to their website. So for example, BookBaby, some of you may be familiar with them. You click on BookBaby here, it takes you to their profile. At that point you get to take a look at their website and you can check them out. There you have it. I'm going to be going through each of these to kind of give some additional insights and what have you in a series. This will actually be put out to YouTube in a playlist, so if you're just catching this video, this is probably the first in the series and there will be many more to follow.